So this is the Jared Presley experience, and this is Kyleen Downes, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Absolutely.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't sure if people ever mispronounce the last name.
Well, they definitely mispronounce the first name and
Really?
they misspell the last name.
Oh, I imagine they forget the E.
I forget yeah, I'm always if I have like a certain cadence when I spell my name. Downes.
I've seen Kyleen with the I, which is not as common, but I don't know. I don't know what parents are thinking.
Well, I can tell you what my mom was thinking because I think it's kind of a fun story.
Okay, go ahead.
She was uh she was Deborah Ann Smith growing up, and there were
Okay.
four other Deborah Ann Smiths. So when she was pregnant with me, and she saw Kyleen in an article she was reading, and she's like, "I've never heard that name before."
Really?
Yeah, just wanted something unique. So I wasn't in the same boat as her, being which Deborah Ann Smith.
So, like, that was her mother's name and her mother's name is what you,
It's
when you mean,
a popular name, Deborah Ann. No, like in her school, like if she
oh, okay.
got called to the principal's office, they were like, which, like, it couldn't even have a different middle name to differentiate which Deborah Ann Smith
Oh,
it
that's
was.
terrible.
It's such a popular name, right? And now, I think if someone was named Deborah now, it'd be very unique.
Yeah, the names go through phases. I was going to ask, what initially got you into when you were young as far as playing music? Why did you start?
So, uh, I do not have, like, I really want that, spark of a memory of what the specific thing was. So it's generic in the sense that I always loved singing and I always loved listening to music, particularly Disney movies, musicals, little folk songs that you would sing at school. I
Yeah.
loved being in the choir at school. Like music class was great. So all that to say, I think I just, you know, seem to enjoy music. I posted a picture of me recently. This is 30 years of me playing guitar. However, I got a guitar when I was 8 and I don't remember that guitar, but I have a picture of it, of me with the guitar, Christmas time. I don't remember asking for it. And then a couple years later, I apparently asked for a guitar, but I don't remember asking for it. And I started guitar lessons when I was 12.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And it's because I've talked to so many musicians, it's interesting because the story that might be similar, it's never the same with everybody. Obviously, what got me into music was very different, but I mean, just that's just the thing with everyone, which is why I feel like people are unique in that aspect because what influences them, and to be honest, continues to throughout playing and performing, it's always going to be different.
Well, what was your so
Oh, I don't want to take
I
it
know
gets into a long story.
is it okay. Was it
Um,
like a particular artist? Like were you
no, okay, I'll boil it down to this. As far as guitar playing, the two guitar players that influenced me to play guitar, I would say would be Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath and Eddie Van Halen from Van Halen. As far as actually really wanting to play guitar, um, it gets deeper into that, but that's what I would. It's a short version of that story. Um, so I mean, there's a lot of other musicians that I like and have heard before growing up. I really listened to a lot of soundtrack music. I didn't really listen to bands until I was older in my teenage years, to be honest. So a lot of it was like the first time I really sang. I think I was at a church. Like I grew up in church. That gets into a long story, but I grew up with a Protestant background. So this choir and stuff. I do sing, but singing is tough. And if we want to go from there, singing is very difficult because it's within you and everyone's voice is different. And
it is an instrument you can't go choose what you want it to sound like.
if it's only that easy,
Yeah.
and
It's very vulnerable too, I feel.
oh yes, and that's something I've heard from everyone, and I agree. Some people are extremely confident from the get go, and I feel like talent and just natural still has a lot to do with that. But even then, you have to really work on your voice. But even then, it's nerve wracking. And even for really, I know great singers, I won't mention by name, but like the opera singers, they say they still get nervous every time they perform. And, you know, I feel that because I still get nervous when I perform a guitar out, believe it or not. It's not as bad when I first started, but it still happens.
I have this tingly sensation. My throat
Yes.
is just heightened, and I try and just address it and say it is the excitement, but it's nerves. you know,
Yeah.
um, you want to do well, and yeah, it just your body is alive when you perform, which I think is why people love it and go through the sensations of feeling like, why am I doing this? It's my equivalent of jumping out of planes. I don't want to jump out of a plane.
Well,
That adrenaline rush, but I love the adrenaline of getting on stage.
oh, yes, for sure. So, as far as singing, obviously, since you first started out to now,
Mhm.
what really, I would say, challenge wise, like, one of the biggest challenges to singing and continuing to do so, especially as you age, because that is something with singing, your voice changes. Our speaking voice technically changes when you get older. Obviously, what I sounded like I sounded like 20, 30 years ago is different than now.
Oh, I sound like a baby. I listen to my first recordings and I'm like, who is this timid little baby? I was a baby. I didn't record my albums when I was a baby, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Because naturally, your voice when you're younger, I don't know the best word to describe it, but it's you sound young.
Hmm.
Um, and again, like there's some, and I think that's a tragedy with some like very young singers who are known for that voice, like teenage singers.
Mm.
As they get older, I mean, your voice just isn't going to sound the same. Not that it won't sound good, but I
I
feel
listened to an interview with the singer of Paramore, Haley Williams,
yes,
and she has part of the interview was talking about her vocal lessons, and I loved that and the work that she does as warm-ups before and after she performs. So it does feel really that you can strengthen it if you think of it as an instrument that you can continue to build your skills on. And I've done some voice lessons. I highly recommend Kate Wakefield. I know that's a musician that we both know and love, and
yes,
I did some vocal lessons with her, and it was a game changer. Just the few that I have done. As you get older, you think of it more as a mental thing. How are you responding in your whole body, not just the end result? I think in my youth, it was all what's the end result going to be? What are these expectations? But after doing, you know, some growing and getting some more insight from people in the field of just being vocalists, it's such a whole body experience. I used to sing from my throat a lot.
that's a common thing that I've been told, and for myself as well. I feel like that's just you feel like that's when you're first starting out. That's just I guess what you envision singing to be, and that's not the case.
You want to control it. I definitely want to feel in control. And when I try and control my voice, you have to walk a fine line because you can control it and just crush it or squish it out or just not make the air happen to make the note happen. So I'm trying to figure out how to let go more and what is the diaphragm? Come on, people explain it to me all the time, but I still think that could take a lifetime to really hone in on that. Or maybe some people they're just so attached um, to that part of their body.
And every singer is different in how they view things. Like I'm just going to use some famous singers for example, like say like with Paul McCartney or Elvis or something, or whatnot, or even like Aretha Franklin and some of those singers. Did they really even think about the diagram in that sense? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the thought of what people sometimes when you go down into studying classical or really a more polished or I don't know, I would say
Opera, something like that. I feel like that might be more so, especially if you hear some of those Italian opera singers. I mean, I feel like at that point, just with that type of range, which is extreme, it would be for me certainly. I feel like I mean they at least know about different diaphragm techniques.
It's like they're athletes.
Yeah, no, I mean they are. They have to train the voice, and the thing is, if anything, if anyone's trying to be a singer, don't strain yourself. That is something. Do not hurt yourself. I've heard, um, well, Kate Wakefield has a story. I actually had lessons with her too. It's been a while. At some point again, or with someone else, life's gotten busy, but it's helped me. And at some point, I'll record myself singing. I don't do anything unless I'm absolutely confident. Is why I haven't, which can be a character flaw. But on that note, with singing, you don't want to injure yourself because that can make things 1,000 times worse.
Absolutely. And that's something I've considered with warming up. I warm up before I play guitar, and I try and think about the same thing before I just jump into singing. Warm up. There's so many fun exercises that just loosen you up and can be uh with warming up. I It takes away when I sit down to play, it takes away that stiffness that
Yes.
gets into my head where I'm like, what? What's happening? I don't feel like I'm really delivering as well as I did yesterday. And then I think, well, yesterday, by the end of your practice, you were warmed up, so things start to flow. So warming up and just, yeah, little finger movements, the woos, the sirens, all that
Or
just
rehearsing parts of a song, even after that point, of just um, not only with the fingers, but with your ears as well. With scales, that is especially
mm.
for me, that's what I highly recommend.
I
For
get
different,
down on myself when I just try and do something and feel, oh, I don't have this skill on the ready. And I have to remind myself, warm up, warm up. It's just like getting out of bed in the morning. I'm not going to do some wild dance move. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to get in the zone. And then, yeah, the world's my oyster. I can.
well, warming up in practice. I mean, what I've heard from non-musicians is they think people are just naturally talented, but what I can tell you is no one can play that good, no one can sing that good without working at it. Nobody's an opera singer that just naturally just does it without any practice or thought into it.
Yeah, I have so much more insight now from just, yeah, listening to some interviews with musicians, and even, yeah, I've been at shows where I can hear my fellow musicians warming up, and I'm like, oh snap, that's what's up.
So you yourself are a teacher.
Yes.
Uh, for each student, so you're one-on-one or is it a group?
It's a mix. I have private lesson students. I have group classes that I teach in a series. Like I do a 12-week rock band class. So that's a group of teenagers that I'll work with for 12 weeks, and then we put on a performance at the end of the class. And then I have perhaps like a class that's like, hey, sign up for this afternoon of learning how to jam together. And that's just a one-time thing. I also
Cool.
do after school ukulele class. That's been fun. That's in a school. So I don't see these kids except for once a week. And it's an extracurricular. So it's not like the kids have ukuleles at home and they're practicing and they're coming in. It's just exposure while we're in the class together.
So in that case, it's not a grade or anything per se. It's just an extra.
Yeah, I don't ever get to grade my students. I just thought about that, Jared.
I mean,
Private lessons, I don't go, ooh, you did good, A. We reflect at the end of a semester and say, what are our new goals? Did we
yeah.
achieve what we were going for? Do you want to go in a new direction? But I remember when I was little, I always wanted to be a teacher. So I can remember when I wanted to teach. I have a very distinct memory of being in second grade in math class, being frustrated. And I don't know. I just remember as a kid being like, oh, I could explain this so much better, which doesn't make sense if I was having trouble. But either way, I just didn't feel like the information was being relayed in a way that was conducive to us little second graders. So I remember that very specifically, and I remember I loved to play school with my sister, and I loved to write the A plus or the 100% on things like that.
Oh yes, and with teaching, that's a whole different skill set. You could be an incredible musician and not a great teacher,
Hmm.
and vice versa. You could be, I don't know the best way to put it, just like you know, a average musician and but an extraordinary, and if you can make your students learn.
Hmm.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
and but I feel like at least so I'm part self-taught. I mean, obviously to a certain degree, I've always researched outside of lessons. So I mean, obviously I'm still doing that, but at different points I have lessons and still occasionally will. A lot more when I was younger, obviously. But there's so much that I learn. It just there's always more to learn, and I'm kind of glad this is not a grade because really at the end of the day, it's how much I actually learn and get from the lesson as far as an actual grade.
Every student is so different. People come at learning to play music from so many different angles. So there's really no, I feel like grading the arts, there's no basis for how somebody is achieving. I have students who will pick up the guitar and it's natural. Uh, the holding, the idea of pressing down on the strings, the way they need to arch their fingers, all that just comes naturally. And that direction takes us in a whole different way. And I have students it's not as natural, but their perception of music is very, sometimes they can have such a mature perspective of music and what they want to, emote. And it's really fun. I love with teaching, you get those milestones. And I love when I have the challenge of how do I communicate this? I mean, there have been so many times I
Yeah,
felt bad 10 years ago. I really feel bad for some of my beginning students because I didn't have the experience of how to communicate things. And now I could probably communicate one skill in 10 different ways and just see what lands. And I love that. I love figuring out, okay, I mean, the ukulele class, really trying to figure out how do you work in information with kids who have been at school all week, then at school all day in a way that will get some stuff done, but it's different age ranges.
yeah.
I love that challenge. Sometimes I'm falling in bed, or I'm in bed falling asleep, and I have to turn it off. Just say, don't be thinking lesson plans. You got to go to sleep. You got to rest. Um, and I think that's part of when people are good teachers or love to teach, they love that idea of trying to convey something in a way that's going to land with whoever they're teaching.
And that's so true, especially with not just guitar, but any other instrument with teachers. I feel like a trap for a lot of people is there's a lot of what I would say bad teachers. And the biggest thing is if they don't have a lesson plan of what they're actually going through the student, I would consider that a bad teacher. You have to at least know the student enough from the last lesson and kind of have a goal of what you want to cover. If it's just you going in and asking the student, hey, what you want to do today, I feel like that's just the hardest saying. It's finding a good teacher.
That's I appreciate you saying that. That is something that I put work into, and I am always appreciative when students recognize that we have a course, we have something that we've been talking about, and I notate it and I put thought into it before we come back the next week. It's it's something I've had all my teachers been great, but also pulling from what I felt like I lacked in. I'd never had a teacher um, have me play a song all the way through, even if it was just playing the chords. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that's something I'm like, we're doing that in our lesson. So I want you to know, yeah, you can play that little intro riff, but there's a whole song to follow. And yeah, so there's certain core things that I'm like, all right, we're doing that. And that same thing with the preparation. When you feel like you're walking into a lesson and the person's like, who are you?
Yeah, yeah, for
Well,
sure.
we were doing this last week and you wanted me to practice this, and here I am. And yeah.
So there's more work. I mean, obviously, whatever hour lesson, it's more than just that hour of work you put into it. A
Absolutely.
good teacher once told me it's at least double, really, as far as the preparation you put into it. Plus, especially once you get a lot more outside of beginning theory, you really have to brush up on your theory,
Mm.
which it's kind of ingrained in me. But if I had to explain like modes and diatonics and like modal interchange and stuff like that, I have to sit down and like write it out.
Being a teacher keeps me in constant learning mode.
Yeah.
What's coming my way, learning new music, um, yeah, being real on it with whatever theory or yeah, different techniques. There's certain techniques. In the beginning, when I was teaching, I used to think, oh no, I can't be a teacher. I need to know everything. And then you come to learn, I need to know what I know and what the student's interested in. And if I don't, it's okay to say that's not my skill set. And I haven't had any student where I'm like, I can't do anything more with you, or you're going in this direction. I mean, jazz, for example. If I had a
Oh
student
yeah.
seriously into jazz, I know several good teachers that I would recommend, um, and I think that's perfectly okay because I don't know if you've ever felt this, but I know a lot of it is in our culture now. Like, you are enough. We always have this feeling that we're not enough if we don't know all these things. That might be even just a personality type. But I don't
Yeah, for sure.
want to feel like I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And sometimes you can say, I can't, but that's all right. And here's someone who can.
I've been known to push myself too much, so I feel that way. And yes, with jazz is something that you have to pretty much devote yourself to. With the complex chord progressions, they like to use a lot of different types of scales, like the modes of the melodic minor scale, and some of those scales I like. I actually had a song recently that it was a jazz song that I used a couple of jazz scales throughout. It took a ton of work, but even then, I don't know if I could really convey that to someone teaching it wise, because that's totally different from thinking it in my head than actually presenting it to somebody.
Yes, I love to just play with things. I have all these books and I like to just look in a book and yeah, it's like, the kid in the sandbox. But like you said, I wouldn't have like a lesson revolved around that. I just think that sounds neat. How can I use that? And then you go off and riff on your own. Um, I did spend a lot of time doing classical guitar, so I have had the joy of really devoting yourself. Like, I totally understand when you have a style that you want to learn, that it is something you have to spend every day doing.
Yeah.
And that was a real joy to have that time when I was at Wright State to do that. And so I really appreciate, you know, when you have to work hard, then you realize, ooh, all these other people worked really hard too. And just to know a niche instrument, or like a style of instrument, is really fun.
Oh yes. I feel like what I do is niche in a way, but I really enjoy it. And it has its challenges. Playing out is a whole other game. Booking shows, etc. That itself is a skill set, and then that itself can be draining. That is what I tell younger musicians, people trying to get in. I kind of warn them, especially in my opinion, a lot of times lack of pay, lack of a living wage. Because I've been playing out 15 years now, as far as actually playing out since 2010,
Wow.
and the wages haven't increased. And I've heard it's been that way for years.
Mm.
And that's unfortunate, even though I feel like there's a lot to be had with live performances. Do you feel like in the future, especially with AI and all that, do you feel like there's a way that live performances not only can be appreciated more, but like musicians as themselves can at least somewhat be compensated more?
That's yeah. When I, it's sorry, I have so many things.
No, I know that's a loaded question. I know that's just
No,
something that's been on my mind.
I was recently thinking about AI and live music, and I don't think people can be as engaged watching a non human create on stage. Live music is such a unique thing. I
Yeah.
hosted the open mic at Peaches in Yellow Springs, and it's really given me a perspective on it's a weekly thing. So
Yeah.
I see people connecting with somebody on stage. And because it's an open mic, it's all styles. So something might resonate with somebody and then another performer might not. And it's this energetic exchange is so it's so magical. It's really indescribable, and I makes me wonder about that fact with AI, where people will really crave seeing because we resonate with representation, right?
Yeah.
I definitely when I listen to music, I love listening to other female artists. I get very passionate when I see other women playing music. And I think when people see other people doing something, it stirs something in them to say, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do what I love because they see the passion of that person. And that's live music and live anything, but music it's a way to engage too that feels inward because the rhythm moves us, the words move it. Like when you hear lyrics, it's happening inside your brain, but it's being delivered by somebody else. As opposed to, maybe somebody speaking or even like visual arts, you're taking it in, but maybe you're not feeling it in your body like you would music.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I don't think AI can replace live music. And to your point, maybe it will be, yeah, something more appreciated monetarily in a way because people will crave that interaction.
And I do feel like maybe I'm an optimist, but I feel like at some point in the future that kind of will have a boom again, just because people will be tired of not just AI, but just a culture like with social media, just and where
People
people don't go out as much anymore. I feel like that might turn back around.
they want to see things in real life. Have
Yes.
have you felt so when I scroll and I love watching fun videos of animals or just things that seem out of the ordinary, like you're like, "Whoa, I can't believe this." Now I look at it and go, "Is this real or is this AI?"
Yeah.
All the delight has been even though it's still cute, a part of me goes, "But is it real? Am I being tricked if I think it's real?" There's it's very not genuine. So,
Yeah.
yes, people are going to say, get me out, give me something real in front of my eyeballs.
But the hardest thing about playing out live with booking and stuff, and like I have a band.
Congrats. Yes.
Yes, yes, but
Love your
it's
I heard you with your drummer, but I haven't heard the full band. I think
um
it's a great set.
not to spoil it. It's still in the works, but there is a bassist online. Um, I mean, in the works. I've jammed with a bassist and drummer before, so hopefully by the summer. So we'll see.
Very cool. But yes, booking can be a challenge. A lot of it is getting to know people and getting to
Oh yes, especially out of town.
and finding
Um,
a fit with what you're doing.
Especially out of town. That's which I play mostly out of town now. And that's what's helped me. Like with Detroit, Ann Arbor. I know a lot of people in Michigan,
Nice.
Toledo, Athens, or even Asheville. Really cool place in North Carolina. Obviously, you lived at Memphis at one point, and I played there. It's a really cool city. Highly
Love.
recommend. And I mean it's Nashville as well, but I'm kind of lean more on the Memphis side. I just like blues a lot, so I'm obviously
Say blues. Come on, that makes sense.
in Nashville. That's almost oversaturated at this point. If you, I've know people who've lived down there, and the thing about that is everyone is a musician down there, and for me, that would kind of, if you've been down there, you know what I mean.
Yes, and when I've been down there, it's been more for fun than trying to do anything musical.
Oh, I like going on Broadway.
Yeah, or yeah, go on Broadway, doing some shopping at guitar shops. I've seen a couple shows at the Ryman, and there's an awesome lesbian bar there called the Lipstick Lounge that I've done karaoke at. So it's there's a lot of fun spots in
I
Nashville.
know what bar that is because I've been all around Nashville, and I've been one of my favorite bars. It's the blues bar there. I forget the name of it, but I mean it's the only blues bar in that section because everything else is pretty much country, which I don't mind a little bit of, but I'm not. It's not my favorite genre,
Hmm.
though I do appreciate it.
Same.
And yes, the Ryman, that definitely is. That's a historic venue. Definitely worth checking out for sure. But at some point, I'm going to have to make peaches again. If I was in Yellow Springs, it would be a lot easier. For anyone listening, I do highly recommend visiting at least once. It's a cool place.
I feel the same about Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati has such a great music scene and it's close, but it's just far enough for
Yeah,
me that it's hard to do on a regular basis.
it is. There's a lot. I've played a lot of great places. Some of them, unfortunately, not around anymore. First place I played around there actually was the old Southgate House. I don't know if you're in that area at that time.
I went there once with me and do you know Emma Woodruff from Novena?
I know who that is, but I don't know them. I don't know if I've ever really spoken to them. I know who they are though.
Plugging them. They're great. And we did a little mini open mic tour and we ended up there for 1 month.
Oh, that's when they did those Monday open nights. That's when it was on a Monday.
It was our last stop after we had done this whole little Midwest thing, and I'm just glad I got to see it at the original building because or the house.
Yes, and I've played there a few times before it closed in 2011. The building is for sale. I am afraid it will get demolished for at where it's at in Newport.
Yeah.
It would be a travesty. And I like the new Southgate house, but there was a vibe to the old one. If I had the money and the know-how, I would make it a music venue again. But
I would that's the thing, the money. I think it would be amazing to have a venue and just cultivate shows and a community, but they are not easy to keep afloat.
no, they're not. And the places I've played, some places close pretty quickly, and you have to have a really a good business sense, which I'll just be honest, I don't.
Hey, you know your strengths. You know though, okay, I'm gonna do a little callback, but
Okay.
AI. If people are wanting to get out, maybe the live music and the local live music will see a boom with some of this shift in people's desires to be a part of something.
Yeah. But to actually run a venue, and even with what you're doing with that Peaches, I know you don't run Peaches, but you run just the open mic. That's a lot of work. So imagine trying to run a whole venue and all of that. It would definitely be more time than you actually spend with the music. So if you're going to do that, you would have to, it's almost a selfless aspect to that. So I feel like a lot of times the best people who run venues aren't really people who are playing out just because you have to be totally devoted to that.
Yes, I feel as a musician, you really have to have moments where you choose your lane. You don't have to do that permanently, but if there is a drive, you have like, for example, like if you want to play out, that's what you should be focused on as opposed to I know some people can record and play out and you can do a little bit of everything, but there
Yeah.
is limits to our resource that is time.
Uh, I am definitely much more of a studio person. I do play out, but I like, especially when I collaborate with others, that's kind of like it's forever. That it's just forever, and it's there. The song. Hopefully, after my time on this earth, hopefully it'll still be around. But
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
and also there's so much time that's spent and money as far as recording. I mean, that's why music costs money, and that's the thing about Spotify and other platforms where I feel like music's devalued.
I get overwhelmed by the amount that can be put out because it's endless.
Yes.
The barriers
Yeah.
of entry are less now, which is wonderful. Hard to consume it all. I've told myself I don't have to, but I am trying to listen um, to things more like just keep them on my radar to listen to them a few times as opposed to just what's this? Okay, I'll listen to it once and I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, because that helps because there's other people out there doing that. I don't as a musician, I don't think I consume as much music as I
I feel the same way. And we get wrapped up in what we do, and just playing with others that, but I don't necessarily feel like you should be feel guilty about that just because it's so much. It's impossible. And in many lifetimes you're not able to. You wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
But it is good when you have the opportunity to do so.
I was talking with owner of a record store, and it was nice perspective because he is not a musician, and he says keep making music because he is the type that can consume and consume and consume.
Those are the best fans, I feel like.
Well, it's so good. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Um, and yeah, you always are wondering, are people listening? And then you hear that and you're like, cool, okay.
For sure. Um, it's about time to end it, unfortunately. But thank you, Kyleen, for coming on. Hopefully, I'll catch you in Cincinnati soon, or hopefully, we'll have a show together soon. It would be nice.
Yeah, it's a new year. We got to get that on the books. How about I'll message you after this and we'll set up like a concrete date for you to come to Peaches and be our feature.
I'll have to check my calendar, but it will happen.
Well, yeah,
It just depends
put it
if
out in the
I'm
universe.
cool, cool. And I'll have the links for your music and Bandcamp and everything, so people can check it out.
I appreciate this. Great talking with you. Usually when we're together talking, we're at a loud bar, so this was nice.
Oh yes, that's the thing about my favorite music shows are always like a coffee shop. So I don't drink alcohol, so obviously that's always a bonus for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kylie.
Well, thank you, Jared. Yeah.
Thanks.